Hello, everyone. Hello, beautiful women, beauties, divining beauties. Hi, I'm here today to talk about the jade egg. So it was more than 10 years ago when I was in my early 50s and discovered the egg at a retreat I was attending and was initiated by a fabulous woman, Saida Desilets, into the secrets of bringing this ancient tool, friend, technique into our lives to help us remember our power and our beauty. So I have been practicing with the egg for all this time. Sometimes I go a few months without it and then I join back in. What I've noticed is that it's not just for toning, although we do the Kegels. Most of us do Kegels, or we're supposed to do Kegels to keep ourselves strong. But what I found is I didn't do them. I occasionally did them when I felt guilty, but it wasn't fun. It wasn't an adventure. It wasn't anything that appealed to me. And it didn't make me feel sexy. It made me feel like I was trying to fix something that was going to be broken. So our bodies are not broken. No matter the age, no matter how they've aged, I've found that using something like the jade egg helps to bring back blood flow into my body and bring back tone. That's one of the reasons we use it, just like any kind of a practice that uses a muscle that's not used gets weaker. So this is a piece that I've felt important to have my muscles stronger. As a result, I'm 62 now and I don't have any incontinence problems. This is not something that younger women think about it. I never thought about this when I was young, but you are going to be so happy that you thought of this later if you're younger. So just put that in your back pocket. I made some notes about the other things that I wanted to share with you about why this has been such an important practice for me. So let me put my glasses on. So one of the big pieces is that you really learn to listen to your body. Hi Karen. Our bodies are, we tend to ignore them. They're sort of the tool that keeps us going in our lives. But our bodies communicate with us in so many ways, and we push ourselves so much. I've talked about this so many times. We push ourselves to go harder and faster. It's just not the way this part of our body wants to work. So by using the egg, we really ask the egg whether our body's ready to receive it. So I guess we ask our bodies that. It's a dialogue I have before I use the egg to really listen. Because often we don't. Often we just go along with what we think we should do or what we promise to do, or sort of have this sense of obligation around sex with a partner sometimes. But what I found with the egg is I really listen to see if my body is ready to receive it. I listen. I always ask before I practice with it. Next piece is that the allowing of the egg to come into your body isn't a pushing, isn't a shoving. It's really this invitation that your body has. And there are techniques and ways of working with the egg so that you are the one initiating the egg into your body. You're drawing it into your body, so it's not pushed in. That, I think, is the most important thing here, because nothing should enter unless we have a complete permission. We talk about consent these days, the wheel of consent. This piece, we often push ourselves beyond what our bodies need and want. So teaching us to really listen, teaching us to draw something into our body only as an invitation and not as sort of an obligation. And let me see the next notes. This piece about divining your own beauty. I call my program Divining Beauty because it is about finding this deeper beauty within us. I do that through working with myself in a psychological way, looking at my history, looking at my trauma, looking at the things that have kept me from really being my full self. I look at that as my heart and what's blocking my heart from love. It's a piece of the work I do. But another piece is really what's blocking my body from receiving all that's here, receiving the beauty around us, but also receiving pleasure. And as we age, we can have stories that block us from really understanding what it is to receive pleasure. We're all about doing and giving and putting out. But this practice of working with an egg really helps you to begin to discover your own beauty, your own inner beauty, your own pleasure, the pleasure that comes directly through you. You know, we often, if we're playing with ourselves, most of us, I think it's probably 85%, I've heard more recently, just play with our clit. And that's great. It's obvious, it's right there. But there's so much power in activating inside the vagina, activating the G-spot, and activating the other parts of the vagina that really help to bring more pleasure, more invigorating sense of yourself and aliveness. So working with the egg really has helped me to keep those tissues alive, to keep them full of blood, but also to keep this sense that I'm really divining my own beauty. I'm enjoying myself. It's a pleasurable experience, but I feel like I'm tending to myself in a deep self-care way. And Robin, hi. One last peek at my notes. So the other piece is that you really practice taking your pleasure seriously. This is not something we're taught to do. We're taught to take our work seriously, right? We all do, until we sort of rebel and veg out or do something else that's not healthy for us. So taking your beauty, taking this part of yourself really seriously is something that I think needs to be taught. It's a step-by-step process to really bring that back to ourselves. So this idea that it's us that are the arbiter of how much pleasure we receive, how much joy we have in the world, how much delight we have. It's really up to us. It's not necessarily up to circumstance. So even on a day that's difficult, and today is so beautiful that I'm sort of in awe of it out there, but even on a difficult day, what I find is that just noticing for a moment what feels good on my body, what feels good to look at, what's pleasurable, bringing that as learning to be receptive, learning to receive the pleasure that's always there. That's, I think, one of the biggest and most important tools that we use in this practice. So the jade egg, I'll give you a little bit of history. I wanted to talk about all of that first, and then we'll do a Q&A when we're finished. And I'm going to check the time just to see where we are. Well, maybe I'll leave my glasses on so I can see. Using the jade egg has been a technique, they think, and it could be complete lore, but in China, thousands of years ago, the wives and concubines of the emperors used this egg to help strengthen, and they talked about bringing the sort of the sexual magic to the emperor. It was not dispersed in the wider world because it was said to be too powerful for the common people. So interesting that we have it now. It was brought out of China by Mantak Chia in the 70s. So it's been something that's relatively new, and it's got a lot of hype lately. Some doctors are saying it's not safe, and some other people are really promoting. I can only speak from my own experience after 10 years. Never had an infection. In fact, I feel that the jade helps to purify me. So if something is a little funky, I use a jade egg to just help to create more healing in my body. I sometimes put the egg out under the full moon. I create a sort of way of cleansing it. I wash it and boil it if it ever drops. There's some great stories about that. I'll be doing a webinar in January about much more about the jade egg and about the important parts of what I bring to my practice and why it's so beneficial to women. So let's do a Q&A now. I see Karen and Robin are there. Do either of you have a question? Sometimes people say to prep these to get somebody on there who can give answers to the questions. But what I thought I would do is just offer this. Sometimes people ask, where do you get it? I have a link on my website, and it's easy to get it there. I use a jade egg. Sometimes they have obsidian or rose quartz. Those tend to be more advanced practices as far as I've seen, and I have those eggs, but I primarily use my jade. And it's about $70, I think, to order. Sometimes you can see online there are 3 different sizes. I haven't ever seen that was an issue. I've seen that really just the basic size works well. All of us are different sizes inside, but the muscles are what we develop to really hold the egg. Some women who haven't had children are much tighter, and women who've had a number of children. I've had 3 children, all over 9 pounds. This has been an amazing practice for me to strengthen those muscles by holding the egg. So there'll be a practice that I'll explain when I offer the webinar in January. But I thought I would just let you understand a little bit about the egg and why it's been important. Let me see, other questions. I've noticed that I become more lubricated when I'm using the egg. It just stimulates the muscles and the skin enough that right at the entrance to the vagina, there's a gland, and that gland is helping to release lubricant for us, natural lubricant. So I found the egg to be really helpful in increasing my lubrication as I grow older. Let's see, what other questions do we have? I've noticed when I work with women that that using the egg can be something that's a little daunting, like putting something inside you. We're used to tampons, but this has an entirely different experience. When I work with the egg, I really work with it as an ally. So even a friend, I recommend after you get the egg to sleep with it for a week just to get used to having it near your body. Hey Sam, great to see you. Having this opportunity to really bring the egg into you in a way that is, some people say sacred. I say just respectful, reverent, that you're really honoring your body in this way. There are few things in my experience that aren't about a goal. Maybe one of the most important pieces about working with the egg is that this is not about getting to someplace. It's not about getting to an orgasm or getting to a result. We live in a world that is all about getting somewhere. And this work, like anything that's about the feminine, is about receiving. It's about the process, not the goal, not the end result. There's an end result that comes, but your process is so much more important. And that's the news about the feminine. We live in such a hyper-masculine world, but we are meant to be feminine creatures. We're meant to be, no matter what your gender, if you feel that you resonate with feminine energy, this needs to be the primary part of our lives. And most of us live in a pretty hyper-masculine world where we're about producing, about getting to the goal. So working with a jade egg is just not that. It's really about experiencing the egg, allowing it to be drawn into your body, and then working with it, with the muscles. And I string mine so that I can do some resistance work. All of this helps to build that energy and build the strength, but it also helps to build your connection to your body. And we tend to be so disconnected. So probably I'm going to just give one more question to Sam, Karen, Robin. Anybody have a question? You can message me privately if you do. It's maybe a little bit public to be on this forum like this, but if you have any questions, message me. I've been working both with Sighted SLA and with Layla Martin on these practices for so many years that I feel like I can be helpful. And what I know most powerfully for me is that this work has brought me back to an aliveness that I didn't have at 45, I promise you, and I didn't have at 50, but it's been something that's really been building in me, this reverence for my body, reverence for my own vitality, but reverence for my pleasure. Like, we are meant to have this. We're here in bodies that feel and taste and touch and sense and smell. And we live in such a beautiful world. So I'll leave you with that. Be in a practice, if you can, to watch what's there to give you pleasure. Watch what just offers itself up, sort of like a gift, whether it's nature or something you're eating or the smile of a friend or a tousled head of a child. Anything you can receive brings you closer to your feminine. Thank you for being with me. Please pass the word about this group. There's 200 women in this group. I'll be doing something every Wednesday, I hope, at 10 a.m. Next Wednesday, I'll be in Provence, Spain, or France, sorry, in Provence, France. And I'm hoping to be able to do a Facebook Live from there. So I'll try to get into a Wi-Fi zone and catch that. But I will be bringing you glimpses of the pleasure I've had there, and I hope you can join me. Take care. Best to you. Bye-bye.